Hey everyone, I wanted to thank everyone for all the love in the last video. I'm planning on hopefully making more videos in that sort of style at some point in the future, so stick around for that if you want to hopefully find some new albums you might want to listen to. But today, I wanted to go over my top 20 hip-hop albums of the year with some honorable mentions. And the same as last time, I've made a Spotify playlist with one song from each of the albums in this video, so you can check that out if you're interested. It'll be down in the description below. And there's a lot of albums that came out this year. Unfortunately, I didn't get to listen to them all. I was only able to listen to one of the Boldy James albums, for example. So the other four won't be on this list in any capacity. And albums that I did not like Vulture, the Vultures albums, Ice Spice, Mario Judah, those won't be mentioned at all in this video, save for right now. So here are some good albums that I'm not really going to talk about in this video, but I thought deserved to at least be mentioned here. And that's Better Me Than You by Big Sean, Atavista by Childish Gambino, Faith of a Mustard Seed by Mustard, We Don't Trust You and We Still Don't Trust You by Future and Metro Boomin, VIP by Play That Poise, Life Sucks by Paris Pleasant, Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish, Plan A by Lil Tecca, Why Always Me by Coach Eyes, Lifestyle by Yeet, Daryl by ASAP Ferg, Might Delete Later by J. Cole, Triple Digits by Richie with a T, Quiet Warp Express also by Richie with a T, Timeless by Kaytranada, Penalty of Leadership by Bolty James and Nicholas Craven, and Hatton Garden Hold Up by Rome Streets and Derringer. And then an album that I'm kind of mixed on, but I thought I should still mention is Heartstone Psycho by Don Toliver, because I thought the first maybe 6 or so tracks I think were really solid, but then it kind of falls apart from there. But I thought I should still mention it here. But first off, we're going to start off with our honorable mentions. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about them, but I want to say at least a little bit something about each. And starting out with Brat. Brat is not a hip-hop album, which is why it's not on the actual list itself. But this album has grown on me a bit since my last video. It's got some great production with really stupid, catchy lyrics. And yeah, that's all I've got to say about it. Band of Stone in the New World by Childish Gambino. Talked a bit about this one in my last video, but great display of his versatility. It's got a bit of something for everyone. We Buy Diabetic Test Strips by Arm & Hammer. Crazy experimental production. Great beats from producers like LP and JPEG Mafia, two producers whom I love. The vibe's totally different than Haram, but I really like both albums for their own unique sounds. If I did have to pick one, it would probably be Haram, but this album's also great too. Revelator by Lucid. Continuing on from the crazy production from the Arm & Hammer project, Lucid hops on some more experimental production on his solo album with really creative flows and writing that I think is worth checking out. You Only Die Once by Freddie Gibbs. As always, Freddie Gibbs will never be heard on a bad beat. He's got some really cool flows and rhyme schemes that I hadn't heard him do before, and I'll probably talk more about it in my next video, but this is a really good album. 11th Dimension by Ski Mask. I'll be honest, it's kind of grown off of me since my last video because I gave it a really high rating, but I still think it's a great project, and I still return to it from time to time, just maybe not in its entirety. But it's also, I think, just a return to form for him after a long break of returning music. So if you're really missing that 2018 Ski Mask sound, I think it's worth a listen. Michael and the Mighty Midnight Revival Songs for Sinners and Saints by Killer Mike. This album was probably in my top 5 of the year, but I didn't want to include it on the list because of the overlapping / remix tracks that are shared with Michael, with his album from last year. And I'm just going to reiterate what I said in my last video. Just great production, great verses, great storytelling. Love the backing vocals and choruses. It's got bangers, an Offset on the Exit 9 remix was insane in particular. Not a single weak point in the track list. Every feature did well. Next up, Conductor, You Have a Problem, Part 3 by Conductor Williams. Conductor Williams' distinctive style shines through, as always, with solid performances from the featured artists, with some crazy crossovers here with Wiz Khalifa and Benny the Butcher on the same track, and it works really well. Almighty So Too by Chief Keef. Probably one of Chief Keef's best albums in recent years, and then although I don't love every track, the highlights are great, and I really wanted to mention it here, because I think it probably is one of his best albums in a while. Memoirs in Armor, Navy Blue. Earl Sweatshirt fans should really check out this album. The Mint is probably one of my favorite songs off of some rap songs, and Navy Blue does a great job on both that song and on this album. So yeah, check it out. Alligator Bites Never Heal by Doechii. Man, like what a year for Doechii. This project does a great job at showing her versatility, and she's switching from singing to rapping from one song to the next and switching up the flows and the voices over and over again. I just think it's a really impressive debut. The Crossroads by Cordae, another solid album from Cordae. And while he does a great job, I'm really waiting for him to blow me away with an album like that I feel like he can. But this is still just another solid like effort from him that I think is worth mentioning. American Dream by 21 Savage, solid solo project from 21 Savage. I think it's probably tied with I Am Greater Than I Was for what I think is his best solo album. And last but not least, Soul Burger by Ab-Soul. Ab-Soul's pen is incredibly underrated. Like great beats on this album, great flows, great writing, and this album just really shows Ab-Soul's skill. And now we're on to the actual list, our top 20. At number 20, we got No Hands by Joey Valence and Bray. And in a year filled with rap beef, I'm so glad we got an album like this to show that this genre isn't all serious. And if you're looking for something fun to listen to from guys who aren't really serious about anything but their love for the genre, then check this out. Lots of great production that draws inspiration from other genres as well. Number 19, Rich Ass Haitian from Makami. Great production, great lyrics, great writing. On first listen, I initially found some of the beats somewhat odd on this one, and while I never thought they were bad or boring, it did take a bit of growing on me. And I love that there are songs on this album, like the title track and Same 24, like really shows his skill and his versatility, and the whole thing's like self-produced, which it's just the cherry on top of showing his skill. The Thief Next to Jesus by Ka, great production, great flow, great bars, storytelling. He talks a lot about religion and his struggles with trying to maintain faith, and this is an album that I think thematically is probably perfect to be his last, and I'm really, really grateful that he was able to finish and release it before his passing. I'll probably talk more about it and Honor Killed the Samurai in my next video in more detail, but for now, rest in peace, Ka. You're an incredible artist. At number 17, we have Shadowbox by Mavi. Great vocals, great production, and I really love how the vocals just sometimes feel so desperate and so pained on some tracks, which can really be seen on songs like The Giver. Some of these songs are pretty depressing, but wow, is the writing good. He's got great wordplay and flows, and I haven't really seen enough people talk about this album, but I think it's great and deserves to be mentioned more in year-end lists. Bravado and Intimo by IDK. I don't know if I said that right. One of his better projects, I'd say, and it's pretty well split between his rapping and his singing, the latter of which I feel gets better with every album he releases. I think Supernova is an incredible display of how far his singing has come, even compared to his last album, F65, which the singing wasn't even bad on that at all either, and his rapping's just always been great. Still Praying and 11 by Westside Gunn. Also including 11 on here because they released so close to each other, and I really wanted to include Big Dump Ballad on the playlist because the beat on that song is just incredible. I know a lot of people didn't really enjoy the trap beats on And Then You Pray For Me, even though I really like that album. So these projects sort of return to form for Westside Gunn. So it's everything you've loved from the previous Griselda projects. Yeah, I think you should check it out. At number 14, we have The Force by LL Cool J. This album is a love letter to old school hip hop, from the featured artists to the beats. Every featured artist comes on here with their A game, and LL Cool J does not drop the ball throughout this entire project. At number 13, we have Why Laud by Anderson .Paak and Knowledge. Fantastic vocals and singing from Anderson .Paak, and great beats from Knowledge. Anderson .Paak also does a bit of rapping on the first track, not counting the intro, which I think is also great. It's got some great transitions between the tracks. He talks a lot about his divorce on this album, and I really loved how a ton of the various emotions he was feeling come across the lyrics and just how he delivers his vocals as well. And the instrumentals provide a great backdrop for them. And a track that I think is a great example of this is Keep Her, which features Thundercat and his wonderful bass. At number 12, we have Perfect Fantasy by EarthGang, a super chill and vibey album. Not at all what you'd expect from EarthGang, but it really works. Haven't seen a lot of people talk about this album, but it's really good. Really subverted my expectations for the type of music that EarthGang makes, because normally you'd like the songs you'd hear from EarthGang is just them going crazy, just like all these crazy like flows, just kind of going all off the walls. But here they like really slowed it down, went very vibey, very different direction for them, and I think it really works for them. So you should check it out. Number 11, Dark Times by Vince Staples. So initially, I thought this album was like pretty good, but After a few re-listens, I really appreciated the beats and the general themes of the album, and while I still prefer the production on Big Fish Theory, the songs on Dark Times are much more well crafted, well written. I think it's a much more mature album, and I think it really deserves the love it's getting. And now we are on the top 10. Very difficult picking out just the top 10, which is why I decided to do a top 20 in the first place, just there wouldn't be as many snubs. But hopefully there are a few picks here that you might not have heard yet and might enjoy. Number 10, Ultra 85 by Logic. This is another album that just keeps getting better and better, and it feels like every once in a while I'll listen to a song off his album and it just hits in a way that didn't before. And as I said in my last video, I think it's probably his best album since No Pressure, although I probably still prefer that album. Some great introspective moments from Logic, and he's rapping over some great beats. Paul Rodriguez is a great display of his rapping ability in particular. He's going off for well, it does have that skit at the end, but maybe 8 minutes straight of him just rapping, which I think is great. Okay. 2093 by Yeat. Just hear me out on this one. I used to not like Yeat at all. I heard maybe a song or two here and there, dismissed him as Cardi clone or TikTok rapper or whatever, and just left it at that. And this is an album that seems to divide a lot of the internet. Yeat fans don't seem to like it very much, but I think this album was just an amazing new direction for Yeat. The way this album is made and structured just reminds me a lot of Travis Scott, actually, where the focus isn't really on the lyrical content, but more on creating a very specific sound to put you somewhere. 2093 feels like the soundtrack to a dystopian cyberpunk society, and the thing is, it's not entirely thematically devoid either. 2093 is about Yeat becoming sober and realizing he needs to let go of his vices in order to reach 2093. And I realize that might seem I'm kind of blue curtaining it, right? It's I'm kind of reading too much into it. But I think he does talk about these themes here and there on the album, and I'm not really saying that these themes and lyrics are totally in their face. It's still what you'd probably expect for the most part lyrically, but and many of the albums I've rated lower on this list are 10 times more lyrically impressive, but I think he was really able to create an incredible album with a great sound here, even just if you disregard the lyrics. And number 8, Johann Sebastian Baklava the Doctor by Action Bronson, and I haven't seen enough people talk about this one either. Great production, each instrument really shined through in the final product. Julian Love's guitar here is really the standout, and the whole album is produced by both Derringer and The Alchemist. Action Bronson dropped some funny one-liners, and the lyrics aren't really all that deep, but it's a really good vibe, and just really fun to listen to. Number 7, GNX by Kendrick Lamar. Great production, lots of experimentation with the flows and voices. It's not as substantive or have as strong of a concept as some of his other albums, but music-wise, I think it's up there with his others. I liked it on first listen, but I just keep coming back to it and liking it more and more. Number 6, The Auditorium Volume 1 by Common and Pete Rock. Great beats, great verses. Great to see artists still making great music so late in their careers, and it's definitely going on in this album with some stellar verses from Common and creative sampling by Pete Rock. And that's also something you could probably say about the LL Cool J album as well. I saw Common and Pete Rock in concert a few months ago, and it was even better hearing some of these songs live. And now onto the top 5. Number 5, King of the Mischievous South by Denzel Curry. No surprises at my top 5 since I'm a really big Denzel Curry fan. I'm going to be seeing him live soon, but that's kind of besides the point. Great production with homages to that southern hip-hop style, and on the deluxe even tries more styles with songs like Get Me Geeked. Still in the Paint was so good, I wish it was on the original version of the album. Number 4, Chromacopia by Tyler the Creator. Great album, really creative production, as per usual for Tyler. It's probably his best album writing-wise, if I'm being honest. Like Him might be one of his best written songs, and I really love the storytelling on Judge Judy. I love this album had both bangers and slower songs. It felt like a mix between Call Me If You Get Lost and the slower songs on Igor, and all the features also did a great job on here. At number 3, we got I Lay Down My Life For You by JPEG Mafia. I love the use of guitars all throughout this album, and it really feels like Peggy is improving as a producer with every project. Call me crazy for this, but I think in a few years, he'll be an all-time hip-hop producer. Normally, I'm a bigger fan of the bangers when it comes to Peggy's music, but something about the slower second half of this album just hits in a way that it hasn't before. At number 2, we got Blue Lips by Schoolboy Q. This is my most streamed album of the year, partly because my number one album of the year just doesn't have as many tracks comparatively. I also have done the most amount of re-listens for this one. With a lot of albums on lists, I have done re-listens to just see how I feel about each album. Maybe occasionally come back to do a re-listen for fun if I don't want to listen to anything new or listen to a playlist or anything. But I have come to Blue Lips in its entirety like a ridiculous amount of times just because of how addictive this album is. Schoolboy Q's beat selection on this album is insane. He's just going crazy with the flows. This is the follow-up we definitely needed after more commercial Crash Talk, and it was definitely worth the wait of 5 years since that album. And although this album was phenomenal, it still was not my favorite of the year. And my album of the year is Samurai by Lupe Fiasco. This album is just fantastic from start to finish. It's only 8 tracks, but every single one hits. The jazzy production, the story behind the album, it's all fantastic. For those of you who might be unaware, it's based on a voice recording from Amy Winehouse talking about how she kept getting a bunch of ideas for battle raps, and the album follows the journey of if Amy Winehouse was a battle rapper. And while telling the story, Lupe also mixes in his own personal experiences. And this album also has some of my favorite lyrical performances and writing of the year, with Cake and Palaces respectively. I saw Lupe live in concert a few months ago, and he was able to rap Cake word for word live, and that was just amazing to see. And that's the list. Hope you've all enjoyed. Share your favorite albums of the year in the comments. Hope you all have a happy new year. Let me know if your favorite album of the year was snubbed. Maybe I listened to it, maybe I didn't. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. New videos coming soon, 2025. Hopefully that ages better than New Music 2024, Cardi. But yeah, see you guys in the next one.